Now it's time to start. So the next panel is titled Reforms Triggered by a Digital Foundation with an AI Core Competence. First of all, I'd like to introduce the panelists. First of all, Edward Cho, Vice President of Global Public Affairs of Huawei. He is participating remotely. Next, Hideyuki Nakashima, President of Sapporo City University. Finally, the moderator will be Cherry Lee, Senior Consultant at Nomura Research Institute, Center for Strategic Management and Innovation. From now on, I'd like to hand over to Ms. Lee. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your kind introduction. I am Lee of Nomura Research Institute. Today, after this, we will have a discussion about AI and Professor Nakajima, who is really one of the leaders in AI research, and we have Mr. Xu from Huawei, which is really one of the best companies in this area, symbolic company, and we will have a discussion about reforms triggered by AI. Can I get the slides, please? Thank you very much. Before we start the discussion, I'd like to introduce myself briefly. So I am working at Nomura Research Institute and Digital Economy, AI, leading-edge companies, businesses, digital transformation. This is my research area. 2 years ago, I authored a book called Innovation in China. And why is innovation happening so rapidly in China? So that's been my research topic. So today, before we start our panel discussion, I would like to share with you some numbers. So this one is a prediction from some research institute. In the world, a global network, IoT, smart devices have developed, and as a result, in 2025, all over the world, there will be 100 billion devices connected to the network, and as a result, 180 zettabyte data will be coming up. So this zettabyte kind of a unit is not something that ordinary people know too much about, but in general, I would say that there is the number of sand particles of all beaches combined in the world. So this is beyond a human imagination. All over the world now, data is exponentially increasing in volume. As a result, data has been produced, and now through 5G, high-speed network, and so forth, it can be delivered, and in the cloud, which is an infrastructure, it can be preserved and processed, and it can be trained by big data. Trained AI can realize self-driving, smart city, and unmanned convenience stores. All these digital transformations have been taking place or will be enabled. So this big data in terms of AI development is very important. It plays an important role. So when we consider AI, there are some peripheral digital platforms that are very important. In China, through the development of digital platform, which is a part of the national strategy of China, it is trying to make a progress. A digital platform is a new type of infrastructure in China, and network and clouds, AI, big data, these are digital platforms have been developed by a top-down national decisions. They're trying to do this very speedily. There is a CCID, which is a communication-related think tank, and according to their projection, by 2025, in this digital platform domain, there will be 10 trillion Chinese yuan. In Japanese yen, 160 trillion yen. That much money will be invested in this domain, according to their projection. In 2019, the digital platform that we have today has led to digital economy, and in case of China, it is 36.2% of China's overall GDP. The digital economy is as much as that. So digital economy is one of the drivers or engines for the Chinese economy. As such, China is now trying to promote such a digital platform. At the same time, in case of Japan, AI, big data, all sorts of leading-edge technologies are leveraged by Japan too, and Japan wants to realize economic development, and also it wants to resolve societal challenges. They have to be balanced, so this is a human-centric digital society. Japan wants to realize that. Professor Nakajima will be talking about this later on. Now, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Xu of Huawei to talk about China's digital AI developments and some specific examples. For sure, at AISUM, Chinese, this is the only session where we have a Chinese company presenting. So through this session, China's AI and digital societal development, if you can gain more understanding, that would be much appreciated. Now the floor is yours, Mr. Xu.
Yes, hello, my name is Edward Zhou. I'm a Vice President of the Global Public Affairs in Huawei. It's my honor to be here as a speaker in this highly recognized and influential AISUM conference, talk about the AI development in China and also the Huawei's AI technologies and solutions. Also, I would like to thank Nikkei for this opportunity. So before we start to talk about Huawei, so let's take a look at the overall new generation AI development plan in China. So in July 2017, China government released the development plan of the new generation AI to achieve the strategic objectives in 3 steps. The plan sets the target that by 2030, China become one of the world's major AI innovation centers. So in order to implement this plan, there is several parts, including the education, pilot development, and also the infrastructure development. So in the year of 2018, the Ministry of Education released the action plan. Now there's more than 200 universities set up the AI undergraduate programs. In August 2019, the Ministry of Science and Technologies released the instruction of National Next Generation AI Innovation and Investment Pilot Area. And now 11 pilot areas have already been constructed. In April this year, China has released the scope of the new infrastructure construction, which includes the AI as a core component. New infrastructure is a series of modern infrastructure systems that are technology and industry driven to meet the long-term development and the strategic requirement of China. It includes the information infrastructure and also the converged infrastructure and the innovative infrastructure. AI is one of the most important core components in this plan. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is all the more important to speed up new infrastructure development. The Bank of China forecast that the total investment in these 7 key areas of the new infrastructure will be about 1.2 trillion Chinese yuan in year 2020. So as innovative technology company, so Huawei has developed the AI technologies very early. And in October 2018, Huawei announced the AI strategy and the full stack all scenario AI portfolio. By all scenarios, we mean different deployment scenarios for AI, including the private clouds, edge computing in all forms, industrial IoT devices, and consumer devices. Full stack is about the functionalities in our technologies, including the chipset, the chip enablement, a training and inference framework, and also the application development enablement. To sum up, our AI strategy is to invest in the basic research technologies and also the talent development, build a full stack all scenario AI portfolio, and collaborate and enable our partners in all industries to foster an open global ecosystem. In summary, Huawei is committed to provide affordable AI to enable all industries with partners. Besides these commercial words, AI is indeed making life better, complicated with the recent impact of the coronavirus pandemic. AI shows its value in the medical care services. Studies have shown that the CT scan is much more accurate and reliable than the traditional test kits for the COVID-19 detection. So Italy is one of the worst hits among all the European countries. Slow testing can no longer cope with the rapid increase of the number of the patients. Manual operations are also adding pressures to both the frontline and back-end medical professionals. In this case, AI can help. Collaborating with the local AI solution provider, AGS Italy, and the medical tech firm E2 Healthcare, Huawei has introduced the AI-assisted diagnosis solution in Italy, enabling intelligent and quick analysis of the medical images. The technologies not only greatly shorten the diagnosis time to just a few seconds, but also dramatically speed up the reporting process. Taking the screening alone, it usually takes around 12 minutes for a doctor to check the medical images and probably another couple of minutes to fill in the report. Aided by our AI technologies, it takes just 10 seconds for diagnosis by machine, plus another 2 minutes for the doctor to confirm the result if necessary. With the data collected while the test, AI can further predict the progression of the pandemic, allowing more preparation for the government and medical organizations. I also would like to emphasize all the data was stored locally in Italy, so there's no problem for the privacy issue. And another case I want to share with you here is in the production sector. Yantai Huaxin Stainless Steel is a company focusing on the production of a special steel, which is also called alloy steel, by adding one or more alloying elements to the carbon steel. The structure of the steel is changed, and the steel has different special properties. During the production, alloy positioning is the key step in special steel production. Because the ingredients in different batches are different, manual proportioning are more difficult. So according to the experience, experts often need to repeatedly adjust the ratio to achieve the optimal performance. One proportioning calculation takes around 30 minutes. To improve the quality, the ingredients addition process usually takes 2 to 3 times. So the whole ingredient additional process takes up for several hours. So the accuracy of the final product composition prediction can reach only 80%. But based on the AI methods, Huawei worked with the industry experts to sort out 6 mechanism models and over 10 important constants and experience. AI modeling is performed based on the historical data of the past 6 months. So the new models help experts complete optimal ROI ratio calculation within 10 seconds and accurately predict the end molten steel composition. So the prediction accuracy is improved to over 95%. In addition, the overall efficiency is improved and raw material cost is optimized. So saving more than 20 million Chinese yuan per year. And also, I think AI also changed life for the deaf children. According to the World Health Organization, in year 2018, about 34 million children worldwide suffered from hearing impairment. 90% of the hearing impaired children have healthy parents, but normally 78% are unable to communicate with their children. For hearing impaired children, all the learning is done through the sign language. So in order to support these children, we developed an application in the mobile phone called StorySign, enabled by the AI technologies, in partnership with European Union of Deaf, the British Deaf Association, Penguin Books, and Artman Animation, among others. So AI solutions, we hope, will change the story of the deaf literacy forever. So let's watch a video, know more about how StorySign helping a deaf child to read. Please play the video.
I don't think many parents can imagine not being able to talk or read with their children. I think everyone takes it as a given, something natural we all do, but having a deaf child, reading can be a big challenge. Not many people know that deafness affects reading. I mean, we didn't, as well as parents, we didn't know that it did. But when you think about it, most kids learn to read phonetically, and Tasnim can't do that. That's why we started using StorySign. StorySign is helping Tasnim to read, and it's helping us as parents to learn new signs as well. I mean, I imagine every parent values that moment where you can share a bedtime story with your child. And to be able to read to my daughter is the best thing and the best feeling in the whole world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cho. So already there were more than 200 courses as of 2019 to work on digital expertise, and AI for industry and businesses and the public sector has been approached because it's affordable and it's bringing about much benefit for those people. Next, I would like to invite the next speaker to share with us the current status of Japan. I'd like to give the floor to Professor Nakajima. Well, thank you very much. The current status of Japan's AI and Society 5.0 is the topic of my presentation. So AI history, this is the third summer, so to speak. In a summary, this is how it looks. The first summer was when the computers were born, and the symbol processing was realized and the intelligence could be attained. That's what many people thought back then. But after that, they realized that people's common sense couldn't be well captured based upon their life experiences. They have to have such a common sense. Only symbols on their own are not enough. That was discovered. The second summer was intelligence processing. In case of Japan, the fifth generation computer projects were underway back then. So expert knowledge was processed by computers, and that's how the second summer started. But 95% results were possible, but it wasn't as good as humans. The gap existed in the area. You can see the implicit knowledge which cannot be described by words, even by experts. So in Japanese, you say that your body knows it, but that couldn't be understood by computers. Now the third summer is taking place. So this is deep learning. So you only have to show things to deep learning, and then deep learning can just learn. So it may be possible for that deep learning to acquire such tacit knowledge. The third summer has seen many developments happening in Japan too. Basically, in 2012, deep learning had a break or boom, and in the background there was a big data or Internet of Things, so to speak. So all devices are connected with the Internet, so learning materials can be attained and learning can take place. And once again, many businesses went into the AI research area in full swing. When it is a winter, Japan tends to exit such a research. So between summer and winter, different people tend to work on those projects. So Riken AIP was developed, and there are many places where they are doing AI research, not as much as China though. So this is the domain map in a way. I believe that AI is a part of IT. Information processing, one format of information processing is AI, and what links these two is the IoT or Internet of Things. From the real world, information can be acquired. There are two things in AI. One is expression of knowledge, the second one is deduction from the very beginning. But now there is a new component of machine learning as well as a neural network. And then ultimately, within neural network, there is a deep learning. There are 3 generations, and the third generation neural network is deep learning. And as I said earlier, big data exists, so it's possible to do learning. And as a result, as Mr. Cho said, image processing is something AI is very good at, so AI eyes became available. As a result, a real-world application has become possible. The government and also Keidanren is talking about Society 5.0. The first one is a hunter-gatherer, the second one is agrarian, industry, information. So how long did it last, or each period last? So millions of years lasted in the hunter-gatherer, and 10,000 years for agrarian society. And in the middle of 18th century, hundreds of years of industry society lasted, and then decades of information society. So the next one is a super smart society, which is Society 5.0. So if it continues as is, it'll only span a couple of or several years. So from some years ago, we were talking about this. So it has to arrive soon. So material control, energy control, information control is the flow that the society has gone through. So singularity may be nearing. There is a book about it. Society 5.0 has been substantiated recently. There are more specifics. The most important thing is that this is a human-centric society. As you can see here, there is a difference compared with before. New information processing method, this is human-centric. Humans can take a central part. So I don't have enough time to talk about details, so let me skip this. In the software world, we say 0.1 or 0.2, that is version up. So Society 5.0, I did a minor version up and made Society 5.1 by leveraging AI and IT. With conventional technology, things weren't possible, but these things are now possible to do. So looking at the society today, there are many cases where societal systems are replaced by AI, but there should be new things that are enabled by AI. For example, business work style. From some years ago, we started talking about this. But this time around, because of COVID-19, people realized that they could work from home for certain businesses. So a change is taking place, but politics and economy, AI can do all sorts of work. Then you have to come across the question, what is a human? For example, sense of fulfillment, education, human-centric questions have to emerge. Earlier, I talked about the singularity looming, and technology is exponentially accelerating. The red one is exponential technology, and the blue one is a linear technology. So at first, the linear technology is easier to use, and exponential is almost a zero at the beginning and flat for a while. But once it starts or takes off, it accelerates. So currently, AI is just taking off, I would say. So going forward, I think it will grow exponentially. This is something that I want to talk about in the second part of the panel, and laws are linear, but technology can be exponential. If that's the case, there will be an even wider gap going forward, which is a problem, especially for Japan. Because Japan tends to take this an approach of a white list, so if it's not written in the law, you cannot do it, basically. But in case of the US and China, they take a blacklist approach, so if it's not written in the law, it is possible for them to do it, unless it's banned. Self-driving is case in point. In the US and China, the self-driving cars are driving all over the place, but in Japan, that's not the case. That is because a law is behind technology. In case of Japan, if you want to do something new, there has to be special designated zones where existing law doesn't apply. Thank you. Thank you very much. AI and the technology can be deployed in the society, and efficient societal system can be pursued. Earlier, Professor Nakajima talked about self-driving. And can I get my slide, please? So technology can grow exponentially or develop exponentially, and because of COVID-19 impact, the society is becoming more digital and smarter. So such rapid developments are expected. In China, recently, there has been a series of commercialization of self-driving cars. So this is a Hangzhou. WeRide is a company that develops self-driving technology. This is the actual video. And in Hangzhou, there are public roads. These self-driving cars are running around. There is no driver in the driver's seat. Actually, if you joined AISUM in July last year, you may remember this. Last year, there was somebody from this company here. So last November, in the city with a local company, they commercialized these self-driving taxis. As you can see the video, China's public road situation is quite complex. Last year, there were 2 safety persons in the front seats. And now, when a passenger is in the car, there has to be a safety officer in the car. But in the future, that may not be the case. The future is almost there. So this kind of self-driving taxis in Hangzhou and Beijing, you can use a ride-hailing app to use these cars. It may look simple, but there has to be a massive amount of driving data, and daily analysis and learning is needed. Yesterday, in one of the lectures, Google and other countries' self-driving demonstration studies were mentioned. In case of China, the roads are quite complicated, but these self-driving cars have to be able to respond to them. So on a daily basis, safety personnel is also helping so that these self-driving cars can navigate. Why do we need these safety people? That is because for AI use, there is an ethical principle. If a problem happens, or when a problem is about to happen, a human intervention is necessary immediately. So under good control of a human, AI should be used. This kind of AI governance, many countries' situations, and what sort of responses they should make going forward, that is something that I would like to discuss with the fellow panelists. So first of all, I'd like to turn to Professor Nakajima. Thank you very much. So this year is zodiac animal is a mouse. So mouse was at the head of a cow, and before the goal, he just jumped. So the zodiac animal order is a mouse, a cow, or buffalo. So buffalo is the past the US and China is tiger. So what I'm trying to say here is that Japan should give up on the idea of basic development by now, and the US and China systems can be leveraged, and Japan can come up with applications. That is how I see it.
So, Mr. Su of Huawei, AI governance, please talk about this topic.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. I think AI governance ethics is now a very hot topic. And many countries and regions have released AI ethics principles, but they are quite fragmented, which impose a burden on the global AI value chain. We need to work together to build an open, global, multilateral AI governance mechanism, find internationally agreed principles, and coordinate differences between the different countries and regions. As 3GPP plays a very important role in coordinating the different stakeholders in the mobile industries. So an AI application, the system usually involves multiple market participants, activities and the technological features involved in the computing power, algorithms, data and applications may be quite different. We call for, through a hierarchical perspective, providing a trusted AI governance guidance and the best practices for the participants at the different level of the AI systems to help the market participants to share their responsibilities. Today, people were worried about the black box nature of the AI. The root cause is that the AI model not fully developed and cannot provide 100% accurate prediction scenarios. So the expandable AI is one of the major AI research areas today. It can be anticipated that through the rapid development of AI, more and more accurate and expandable AI models will appear. That's my opinion. Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございます。このようにこの AI の発展について、
Thank you very much. Regarding the development AI, the decision criteria as well as forecast, as well as verification after the fact are challenges. Toward reliable and safe utilization of AI, it's very important for researchers all over the world to engage, to develop rules together. Now, in terms of the development of the rules, as mentioned by Nakajima-san toward the end, if we overemphasize rules, it could undermine the development speed of new AI development. In the case of Japan, the industry is in silos, and they are always trying to do the right thing. But it is important to keep up with the changes in this environment and formulate the rules accordingly. Setting up the right framework is required. Nakajima-san, what is your view on this? As Susan has mentioned, AI is something that will change while using. There is no complete state in terms of AI. Therefore, agile, flexible changes will be required. On our part, let me talk about transit or transportation, which is a topic of transit. A new transportation system is being formulated, but this is also beset with barriers in terms of regulations and laws. For taxi industry and the bus industry are protected, and there is no erosion of market. But that means that change will be hindered going forward. even if we can implement new technologies, we will not be able to operate them under the current environment. I did have a slide ready, but I'll just give you a verbal explanation on this matter. Recently, mass mobility as a service is coming to the fore. The creation of new mobility, which will help the aging and the low birth society of Japan, will be very useful in remote locations of Japan as well. But actual practical operations have been hindered in dozens of areas. Our company is conducting demonstration projects, but it is limited to demonstration and proof of concept, not beyond that. For AI development, I understand there are many challenges. Time has run out, so I would like to go into the last topic. Please show my slide. In development of AI, we talked about regulations as well as governance and rule making. These are very important aspects. And digital foundation and the hardware are both important as well. As we envisage the development going forward, what about human resources? The non-hardware area is very important as well. This is the Paulson Research Institute report, former Secretary of Finance. You can see that the locations where the top researchers in AI are living in the United States, 11% is the number for China. So there is a significant presence as well. If we look at where the researchers come from, 29% are from China. They have degrees obtained in China. So Chinese researchers are being very active all over the world, making contributions to the development of AI globally. According to the Tsinghua University of China, in the area of AI, the joint literature that was 30% are accounted for by the United States and China. It is overwhelming. Because of cooperation amongst the researchers, we have been able to see development in AI going forward. Looking into the future, I would like to ask Nakajima-san and Su-san to talk about the future prospect. Now, I was living in the United States for several years. I have experience there, and they have researchers coming from many countries. As shown by the graph, there are many people coming from China as well. In the AI society, according to the literature that was submitted, half of them are from China. So I think international collaboration is very important. Otherwise, Japan will be left out. Zu-san, please.
Yes, I think the technological developments and industrial applications of AI are the results of a high degree of the global collaboration. Its future development also depends on the complementary advantages and cooperation and sharing of the countries around the world. AI is considered to be a comprehensive and general-purpose technology that requires the participants of the multiple disciplines, multiple fields, and multiple sectors, and even multiple countries. So I believe the international governance should uphold a neutral and objective stance, protects the innovation vigor of the scientists and also the entrepreneurs. So I believe that this global collaboration is very important. And also I want to mention one thing about the talent development. I think that's also very important to have a global ecosystem for all the talents who can enjoy the development of these technologies, the knowledge and everything for the AI world. Otherwise, we cannot enjoy the value of this new technology. So I think really the global cooperation is so important for all of us.
Thank you very much. Rich and a sustainable society can be realized by AI, and Japan should develop the core platform for AI. And on top of that, software, AI, human resources have to be developed and attracted. Yesterday, there was a METI minister's speech by 2030. They say that 550,000 AI-related people will be the gap. So going forward to increase international competitiveness, I hope that AI can take a role. So now it's time to conclude. Thank you very much. That's all for today, this panel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all the speakers and moderator.